And I mean, in my head, half of tonight was just going to be shooting the shit and
Yeah.
coming up with a topic as we sort of streamed.
But I think we did as we were talking here.
No, I think so.
All
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
let's
Are
go.
we recording?
We
Oh,
are.
we're recording. Every freaking week. I have no idea. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Embrace the Storm podcast. I'm here with my amazing host, Jeremy Weens. We're both trying to blend into the background here. You're too white for that.
Too white for that. Oh, man.
You know, before we got rolling, we were just kind of talking through our weeks and some of the things going on in our life right now. You were giving me some soapbox advice, which I appreciate. And, you know, we were talking about this topic that God doesn't give us what we want. He gives us what we need. And it makes me think of that song, Steven Tyler, I think. Don't always get what you want,
Get you what you need.
but you get what you need. And, you know, we were talking about this. I'll lay this out here, and then we'll just kind of ramble on a little bit.
Yeah.
Music reference again.
There we go.
But we were talking about this idea that if you pray for greater things in life, or you pray for more patience, or any of these things, you think God is just going to give you just peace and tranquility? You think He's going to give you all of what you want? No, He's going to give you harder circumstances so that you have an opportunity to work through things and learn.
Yeah, you give you opportunity to grow.
Exactly.
Not just give it to you.
Exactly. And so as we were kind of talking through that, we decided that that's what our topic was going to be, even though I picked something else. This one I think is a good one, because how many of us, and even I've seen silly reels online about this topic too, but how many of us just go, "Dear God, give me more. Dear God, give me peace. Dear God, give us, you know, some chill time at home," whatever it is. And we just expect God to just open the heavens and give us Cadillacs and money and time with our loved ones.
And often we're thinking as we see those is, "Dear God, shut up." Like,
Yeah.
there's more. There's a better way of doing it, right? Like, don't. God's not a genie. He doesn't just grant wishes. He does.
No,
But there's opportunities.
yeah,
However, saying that, there are times where God does bless, right?
God provides.
God provides, exactly.
And I can think of countless times in my life especially through my marriage, like when we first got married, well, even today, just how God shows up.
Yeah.
Even when we don't expect it, even when we're not worthy of it, God shows up because He loves us.
Yeah.
And I can't fathom these people that think like, if I pray, God will just give me what I want, kind of thing. Because the worth, I don't know who said this, but the worth is in the work, right? The worth is in the struggle and figuring it out, you know, because you don't appreciate anything you don't pay for. You don't appreciate anything you don't work for. And so I think God gives us opportunities to grow through the work. And we're not talking now about going to your day job. We're talking about doing the personal development work in your relationships, in your own life. Those are the opportunities.
Yeah, those opportunities always look the way you think they're going to look. I think there's a difference between we say, "God, this is what I want," and we have an idea.
Yeah.
This is how it's going to look. But when it actually comes out, it's like we got the opportunity to get there, and it looked, even if we know that it's the opportunity that we're looking for, it looks differently than we think often.
Yeah. Are you ready to go through that door for that opportunity, even though it looks different?
Yeah.
Right. Like what's the other saying? You know, people want whatever it is, but sometimes it's dressed in overalls and looks like hard work.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
Like, you're looking for the opportunity you have in your head that you're praying for, but God's going to put it in that opportunity, or that doorway to the opportunity in your life. Are you open to seeing it, to receiving it? I know a lot of times I haven't been.
Right.
I think back to circumstances too, and maybe you guys can relate out there. You can relate maybe, is you feel deep down that God's pushing you in a direction or telling you something. You know, some people call it a gut feeling. Whatever you want to call it, you have that feeling, and then you let the moment pass. You don't follow that feeling or that word from God.
Yeah.
And you're lying in bed that night, and you know, I should have done it. Whatever it was, you should have done it. Talked to that person, gone in this direction, made that phone call, whatever.
the intuition, right? It's just
Yeah.
that feeling that you're going to be, that this is what I need to do, this is what I should do. You don't write it down, you get lost in the moment, you're doing something, you don't follow up, you don't do what you're supposed to do. And
Yeah.
especially real estate, that's something, if you don't often follow it fast, you lose, right?
Yeah.
So that's one of the big things
The moment passes, right? Like sometimes God will tell you should probably talk to somebody, right? As a simple example, he'll
Yep.
say you should talk to that person over there in line, and you hem, you haw, and the next thing you know, you look up and that person is through the line and gone, and you miss that moment.
Yeah.
And you know later, deep down, you should have just shut up in your head, gone and talked to that person, whether it was
Yeah.
for real estate, whether it was for something else, whatever it was. And I think we miss those moments. And what I want to say too is I also think God a lot of times is subtle. Like he doesn't wrap you over the head. You know, I have a friend, he tells the story. He asked God, God, give me more time with you. Like let me spend more time with you in prayer and reading the Bible. And sometime later at work, he ended up almost chopping his leg off with a chainsaw and ended up having to spend 6 weeks on the couch.
You got time.
He got time. But I don't think that God, for most of us, shows up with a chainsaw in 6 weeks to spend more time with him. Whether, again, depending on what you're asking for or what you're seeking, there's not going to be a chainsaw event. It's going to be more subtle. What do you think about that?
Well, I think there's different times God comes in different ways. It's often in the whisper, it's often in the quiet, which kind of ties into one of the original topics we were actually talking about that we're going to go with. It is taking time and in the craziness and everything else and just stopping and just taking a moment
Yeah.
to just stop. Now, that doesn't mean you're not working, you're not doing anything, and taking a break, taking a rest, taking whatever.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you are no longer pushing forward. It means in that you take time, take a breath, and say, okay, now what?
You know what? When you were first talking to me about this, I was pushing back on you. I'm like, dude, I'm not taking time off. Like that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
However, when you explained it to me a different way, which was find something that rejuvenates you, that fills you back up, fills your cup up,
Right.
right? You know, it's not quite summer here yet, but for some guys, it's going for a round of golf and just clearing the head. Some guys, it's, you know, going for a long drive, whatever.
Yeah.
But finding that thing that fills you back up. And so that I can get on board with. You know, we're not talking about taking weeks off and stuff in your face or whatever the case may be. We're talking about filling your cup back up.
Well, and even there, like I alluded to a little while ago, is I took a weekend off, right? I haven't taken very many weekends off this year, right?
Just to clear your head.
Just to clear my head, right?
Right.
Now, part of it was, I got up, I still went to the gym,
Yeah.
I still did that, but the rest of the day I wasn't working unless I had a little thing to deal with. But
Yeah.
most of it was just a quick text or whatever, and it's fine.
Yeah.
Pushed it off, scheduled it till next week, right? But I was really not doing something I didn't want to do.
You were not
Either, right?
pushing the business forward on the weekend.
Right.
You were just you were working active things,
Yeah.
but not pushing.
Yeah, and even there, it was like, okay, part of it was to just simply rest, which is something I haven't done a whole lot of. And so for me, it looked a little different than for some, right? Like
Yeah.
I needed, like this, when I did it, I needed to rest and actually stop, right? And,
Yeah.
and just like, spend some time on the couch as well and whatnot. But the other side of it was coming now into summer, like that will look like, are we going to have a fire outside?
Yeah.
And I'm going to go sit outside. And
We
I'm
should
gonna-
do some of these around the fire.
Yeah.
That would be
We could
awesome.
definitely try, yeah.
We should try. We should
okay.
try. No, and I agree with that, and I think too what happens when you're going hard, because you and I are both wired like just go go go, push, don't stop. But I think sometimes what happens is your brain wires they get a little crossed, you get a little crazy, and you start feeling crazy.
Yeah,
Like you start
fatigued,
feeling
right? Like
yeah.
that fatigue, and then you're like, oh, maybe if I just keep pushing, that's what
That's
it's going
me.
to happen. Yeah, right, and
Like-
that's me too for the most part. And finally, we talked about this earlier. Was I hit a point where I was like, okay, definition of insanity is I keep pushing, I keep doing the same thing, and I'm pushing, and I end up pushing the things I need further away from me.
Yeah.
Versus then I finally just stopped, took a weekend, which felt like it was
Recentered a few things.
yeah, right. But it felt like it was so counterproductive because I'm not chasing after. I'm like I feel like I'm just close, and then also stopped, took a weekend, took a breath,
Yeah.
and like Monday, I went back, and Monday morning, I was back and I was hitting it hard.
Yeah.
And I mean, then it was like
You
12,
you
14
started
hours.
feeling better,
Right.
and this week you had like tonight you have more energy than you did last week when we were talking, and
And I probably worked more this week than I have previous weeks. I just didn't work on the weekend, right? Which it sounds really weird because I've had like a couple,
slow down to speed up kind of thing.
right? Like I had that a couple 14-hour days, 12-hour days, a 10-hour day, and like an 8-hour day. So like I've worked a lot this week. If I look back on it, like how many days did I come home after 10:30 and right leaving the house just before 8, right? So it's okay now doing that, and I felt fine. Also, end of the week, you feel it, but I also knew, okay, I just to go and I'm going Saturday and Sunday, or I don't have
Yeah.
real estate stuff because I push really hard. And even when stuff came up this week, I'm like, you know what? I'm like, are you in a rush for it? Well, no. I'm like, okay, so we could do this next week. Yeah, okay, sweet,
Checking
right?
their heat level.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And like
Yeah.
if they were like, oh no, we need to do this Saturday. All right, let's go.
Yeah.
Right. But I didn't chase after somebody who.
I
Well, we're
could do
not
it
ready.
Saturday. I
Yeah,
could
I
do it
could do it.
Saturday.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just wasn't chasing. Right. So
Yeah.
a little bit different, but it's more meaningful now the work that I did, right? I wasn't chasing random things that don't amount to anything.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, wait, asking better questions, finding out
Yeah.
better things, and then putting my systems in place that I
Yeah.
have to get me to the next level, right? So
Yeah. But I think too, while you were talking, something that came to my mind was I think when we get to that point of crazy, where our wires are crossed, we're fatigued, we don't know what to do, and our brains, at least Jeremy and Brendan's brains, and hopefully if you're listening to this, you're in a similar boat where your brain just goes, just work harder, just
Yeah.
push harder. I think something that came to mind was it means we're out of sync with our God. It means that we're trying to do it 100% on our own steam,
yeah,
by ourselves, and men are fantastic at making themselves an island, right?
yeah,
My problems are my problems. Like you don't understand my problems. We don't have the same problems, right? Like we start to feel like that,
right, yeah,
even though it's completely ridiculous. We all typically struggle with some of the same things, some of the same thoughts, and so I think, as you were talking, this is something I'm going to be looking at this weekend for myself as I do some journaling. Is God, am I not spending or coming to you with some of the crazy in my life? Am I just trying to do it all on my own? I think that's important to call out here because that's part of it. I think
yeah,
is we're just trying to do it on our own.
yeah. Like even I'll go back to kind of what I've been studying now for since the beginning of the year was I'm going through the book of Joshua, right? And so
Very cool.
it's taken me from January till now, and I'm up into chapter 11, right? So just really working it, right?
Diving into it.
Diving
Yeah.
into it a lot more, right? And one thing I've kind of sat back and I look and you see they enter the promised land, that's all good. They take over Jericho. What happens? They're obedient, they listen, good. Then they go to the city of Ai, they destroy it, but then they go after the next one, but they kind of die off because something happens. Well, somebody took something and hid it. So what do
Right.
they do? They put everything to death that had anything to do with that, right? Then they go on to the next battle and destroy, and also the next one. And somebody comes and makes a covenant with them, and they feel like, oh, you traveled a far way, fine, we're not going to destroy you. Well, they found out they were lied to. So they made a covenant with them. Now they can't destroy it. Now they can't go after them, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, and God was like, why'd you do that? Because this is a time where Joshua did not consult God, and then
Yeah.
he made a
trying
covenant,
trying to do it
try
on
to
their
do it
own.
on his own, right? So then, since that point, and this is, if you read the Bible and you think, oh, it's a cute little story,
Yeah.
it's brutal. Like it is like
Yeah. Yeah.
they go and they from then on they have killed everybody and the kings, they would hang them. They would do like
Yeah.
they'd put the to death through all the land. And what he's doing is, as I'm kind of looking at a different angle this time, is he is purging his land because
Yep.
Israel is God's land. So he is in the process of purging it so that there's nothing defiled. And he always talks about the things that were meant for destruction, right?
Yeah.
And I think about, so I'm taking the promised land, and you can allude it to my life is, okay, so where are the things that are meant for destruction in my life that I need to get rid of, right?
It's a removal process.
It's a removal process, right?
100%.
And so being obedient to that calling, now that's not easy, right?
Yeah.
And learning to listen, but learning that even when you don't, it doesn't mean you stop and you're done,
No.
right? You just, okay, so now you're
A great example of that. A great example of that to sort of run a parallel here
yeah,
is, so you decided to have a donut for breakfast instead of some protein and some eggs or something, right?
Right.
Well, you have two ways to look at that. Way number one is, well, I had the donut for breakfast, so now we're gonna have two more donuts for a snack, and we're gonna have pizza for lunch, and then we're gonna get McDonald's for supper,
right.
right? Like, just absolute giver.
Just lose it all.
Because
Yeah.
one little donut, I may as well just throw it all out,
Yeah,
right?
the day's short,
Or
right?
or I had a donut. Shoot, my bad. It's not really good on my macros.
Yeah,
But then for lunch we're gonna do that really good chicken salad, and we're gonna have a protein shake, and
Right.
we're gonna get back on track. And I think that's exactly what we need to do with some of the things in our life is go, where am I on track? Where am I off track? And honestly, be brutally honest with yourself.
yeah, that's
You
the
know,
challenge, right?
like maybe not physically, but this idea of standing naked in the mirror and really taking stock of where your strengths and weaknesses are, and do you want to live like that,
Right.
right? Do you want to live away from God? Do you want to be fat and ridiculous and stuffing your face with crappy pizza all the time? Do you want to have a bad relationship with your spouse because you're just being a slob, right?
Right.
The answer, I hope, if you're listening to this, is no, because we're all about getting better over here, doing better, being better. And so I think, and I've heard Wes Watson and a couple of other people say this online too, it's not what you need to do, it's what you need to get rid of, what you need to subtract, what you need to remove. And so, again, simple concept of food, but also people, also habits, also the simple act, simple, not easy, or easy, no, simple, not easy, the simple act of listening to God. Right? You've been working on doing a better job, so you raised your hand and said, okay, I'm going to take the weekend. Still might do a couple things,
Right.
but I'm going to just relax. Going to let the brain rest a little bit. And you've challenged me here before we started recording to figure out what my thing is to rejuvenate and refill, because it's been a couple of weeks.
Yeah, and I think even there, like when we talked about last week, self-sabotage and that whole mindset of, oh, I had the donut, now the whole week is shot. We do that with other things as well, right? Like negative self-talk is, oh,
It's a spiral.
I just, whatever, I screwed that deal up. Nobody's going to want to work with me.
May as well not be an agent anymore.
Yeah, I might as well not be an agent anymore. Oh goodness, like I can't even find a job. Oh, there's maybe I can get a job at co-op or pumping gas. Like, maybe,
And I'm laughing with you because I've had these same thoughts.
right?
Like, oh, I can't even do certain things, or I can't get to where I want to, so I might as well just give up everything.
Yeah.
Give up everything, go pump gas.
Yeah.
Like, I've legitimately had that thought. Like,
Right, but it's that thought process of also wait, stop, take a break. This is not good.
Yeah.
Right. And here's a random question: do you do like affirmations at all or any of that?
on and off.
Okay.
On and off. I've been the guy that's written down the same 3 affirmations, 1 page every single day kind of thing, saying them out loud. And I'm the guy who just like will spend 2 minutes doing some gratitude journaling.
Yeah.
So I've run the gamut between all of them.
Yeah.
Why do you ask?
Because one thing I've started doing
Okay.
is affirmations. I've
Yep.
like you, I've done them before, and then I stopped.
Yep.
I didn't really, I don't know if I really found much, but my attitude this time shifted, and and it's so easy, and it came across one day when I was looking at them and I was doing them, and then I realized, oh, this is so weird, right?
Yeah.
Right? It's weird to say I am worthy. I am
Yeah.
attracting good
Yeah.
things. Good things can happen for me. I am lovable. I am who I want to be. I am the man that I desire to be. I
Yeah.
am whatever. Right? Going
Yeah.
through all these things, and I thought, man, this is so weird. Anyway, then the second thought came. Why is it weird to believe good things about yourself? But
Yes.
you will have
Yes.
no problem believing I am dumb. I am stupid. I am useless.
Okay. So
right?
okay, so I have so much to say on this, but
We're kind of all
But-
over the place a little bit today, but
but
I think it'll all tie in. Yeah.
it'll all tie in. We'll bring it back. At least we'll try to. So I did not. This is not my thing. This is Cole De Silva's thing. I'm just gonna take you through it. Okay.
Do it.
Okay. So self-talk runs rampant in our brain, right? Like, sorry, negative self-talk runs rampant in our brain.
Yeah.
Right. And it typically becomes a flywheel of like, I'm not good enough, and then it just starts and keeps going. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's what I want you to do. I'm going to start counting, and I want you to continue counting until I say otherwise. Okay? 1, 2, 3. Now go to 10.
4, 5,
Now
6,
say your name.
7, 8.
Say your name.
Jeremy.
What
9,
happened? What happened to the counting?
10. Got interrupted.
So the thing is that if you speak out loud your goals, your affirmations, self-talk out loud,
Yeah.
this stops.
Right.
The crappy self-talk in your head stops.
Right.
Because right now, up in my head, just as an example, it's not what's going on right now,
Yeah.
because I'm here present with you. But right now in my head, you're not good enough. You'll never make the kind of money you want to make. You know, you're never going to be the husband and father you want to be. Hey, I'm great. I have great things coming to me. As soon as I say that out loud, the negative voices upstairs have to stop.
Yeah.
Because my brain can't process both. And so Cole De Silva, I'm not doing it justice. You can find a recent podcast he was on where he actually walks you through the entire exercise. But my point in sharing that with you is when we have that negative self-talk and then you start speaking affirmations and goals out loud, the self-talk going on in your head has to stop.
Yeah.
It has no choice. Like, your brain has no choice because you can't speak out loud and have thoughts rolling around in your head at the same time.
Darkness cannot be where light is, right?
That's
You
exactly
have that thought, right? That dark thought cannot be where there's light, right? So.
And I think so. Here's my take on affirmations: is do I think that it's kind of hippy dippy? Yes. Do I think that millions of dollars will show up in my bank account tomorrow because I wrote them down over and over again
Facebook
in my journal? Yeah. Right.
Right. So.
Right. So it must be true. Like, they have to be paired with hard work and the right hard work.
Yeah.
However, I do not think that there is anything wrong with positive affirmations because you're wiring your brain for good things.
Right. And yeah, like I think very much the whole thought of, for me, was that thought what I had was like, why is it weird to think good things about yourself?
Yeah.
Why is that the standard that's weird? Why not make that the normal, right?
Yeah.
Think of, and just think of, we often overlook men's mental health and men's thought process.
Yep.
Well, how many men do you know that if you actually had to say, hey, look, let's be honest,
Yeah.
what do you say to yourself every day, right?
Openly, no one. Secretly, lots of them.
Right, like that's what I mean,
Yeah.
right? Like nobody wants to share that. Oh man, like we suffer in silence, because that's
Yeah.
the truth of it is most men do, right? They just they
Well,
think that we have to, right? And that's okay to some
Yeah.
degree, but why not change the script and say we could also have good thoughts, and that's okay too, right? That's actually
But I think one of the things that I'm starting to learn and I'm starting to see and figure out, the biggest story I've told myself, the biggest lie I've told myself is I don't deserve it, and it's for somebody else, not for me. It's
Right.
for them, not for me.
right.
Right? And them could be any number of people.
Yeah,
So I think that if you're stuck in a job you don't like, or you're stuck in situations in your life that you don't like, the script plays in your head of, this is just my life, this is just what I have to do, like I'm going to be here forever, I can't
Yeah.
amount to more, all these things, like they're all kind of tied together in that realm. What you have to do is we've talked about before, is just make a decision to make a change. But the thing is people want to go from here to here. Okay? And I just realized my hands weren't on camera for that part. But basically you want to make a 180-degree change like that.
Yeah.
But it took you 6 years, 5 years, 10 years to get here, wherever here is. You think it's going to change overnight?
Yeah.
You know? And so one of the guys that I follow, Tim Kennedy, again, he's tattooed on my arm, but when he says is, you know, the Titanic would have been saved had it just gone 1 degree of change early enough, and they would have been fine. And I think that that's what we have to start, is that 1 degree of change. And for me, thinking it through is, am I listening to God? Am I moving in the right direction? And sometimes we don't know what that direction is. But a friend of mine said it this way. He said, well, I pray and then I move, and I trust that God is going to show up where I move. Whether it's right or not,
Right.
he's moving. And I think we have to get moving in a direction.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to say one more thing about affirmations with this is,
Yes.
is when you're thinking about the truth of this, right?
Yeah.
Is okay. How do you think God sees you? Right? Which voice do you think God sees you as?
Yeah.
Why do we not believe God?
Yeah.
We believe it when he says, oh, he can heal other people.
Yeah.
Or, oh, he can do that. But why don't we believe it when you're on?
It's
Right?
so
Like-
funny because I feel that so much. I resonate with that so much because that's me in a nutshell.
Right.
Is God can do amazing things for Jeremy. Not for me though.
Yeah.
Like and I genuinely have that script right in my head. And so that's something that I fight against. On the thing of affirmations, I do want to share, if you guys want to try affirmations, the one person I've studied on this a lot is a guy named Bob Proctor.
Oh, yeah.
And the way he writes it is, I am so happy and grateful now that, present tense,
Right.
like it's already happened. Again, this doesn't make it happen for you overnight without the work and all these things. But what it does do is it wires your brain to think you've already got it, you've already done it. And so it's some extra wiring, at least the way I look at it.
But the other side of that is, so now that I have this, well, the person that has that also has the opportunity to get that. So now you're also wiring your brain to look for those opportunities.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the other side of it, right? And once you find that opportunity, because now also you're looking,
Yeah.
like, hey, I'm so happy and grateful now that I've hit my goal weight.
Yeah.
Right, for me, right? So now what does that look like, right?
So
Well, yeah, I'll give you a quick example
Go,
before we
yeah.
dive in, right? But now that, well, does that guy who's my goal weight, does he go for the donut? Does he go
Yes.
for that, right? The banana,
Yes.
right? Like,
you stole what I was going to interrupt you with.
yeah, see, I knew that. That's why I wanted to keep going. So, but I'm so happy, grateful now that I hit my goal weight. Well, what's that guy look like?
Yeah.
Well, he looks like this. Okay, so what kind of choices does that guy make?
Yeah.
Well, he's not going to make the same choices that a guy that looks like me makes,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like he's making better choices.
Yeah.
Okay, so make those choices.
And then what you do, so if you go to embracethestorm.ca and scroll down, I've got the 5 key health indicators for life. It's my framework that I run, that I run everything through, right? And so the idea is there's 5 areas of our life, 5 key areas of our life. You were just talking about your weight,
Yeah.
right? And so there's one for every area: relationship with people in your life, relationship with God, your mental health, your business health, career health, all these things. You can go check those out. But the reason I bring that up is, now let's keep going. So the way Sean Whalen talks about this is, who do I have to become? Who is that guy
Right.
that eats those foods, that makes those choices, right? Excuse me. So now go to your career. If you want to make X number of deals a month or X number of dollars a month as a real estate agent,
Yeah.
who is that guy? How does he work?
What is he doing?
What is he doing? Right? And then with your relationship with your spouse, if your goal is, to go on 3 date nights a month and have sex every day, I don't know, whatever your goal is with your spouse, like, okay, cool. What's that guy do?
Yeah.
How's he operate? How's he showing up in his marriage?
Yeah.
Right? And we just kind of keep going through all these areas and you write them down. And I recommend writing just because the physical act of writing makes it more real to me. And
There's science to show that why it's more
So-
powerful too.
but you start writing those out, and before you know it, you have this pretty clear picture of your ideal self,
Right.
right? And then because you've done this exercise, this is the way my brain operates, anyways. Now when I go for that donut, I wish I could eat donuts. When I go for that donut, in the back of my head, I have this little voice that goes, "Hey man, you wrote it down. You're not that guy."
That guy doesn't eat donuts.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But because you wrote that out and got clear on who that guy is, you really need to do that. And that's where the voice of God comes in too, I think, is I say it's the voice of the Holy Spirit or God or
Yeah.
whatever. Some people call it intuition and other gut feeling, other things.
Yeah.
But are you listening to that?
Yeah.
You know? And so I'm gonna pivot here for a second.
Do it.
The other thing is too is decisions. Decisions matter.
Yes.
And what I mean by that is tonight is a great example. Okay? So, on one hand, after a couple of bad weeks, I thought, you know what? I'm just going to text Jay. I'm going to say, hey, we're not doing the podcast tonight. I'm going to sit at home, hang out with my wife. Not a bad thing,
Right.
but I'm going to hang out with my wife, eat a whole bunch of bad snacks, tasty snacks, but not good snacks.
Yeah.
Maybe have a drink. Again, not bad. But you add all that up. I did nothing all night, put bad food in my body, and didn't do this podcast, didn't keep my commitment to myself, to Jay, and I missed out time with my friend Jay.
Yeah.
Or I just shut down that voice in my head and go, no, we're going to go grab a couple coffees. We're going to go to Jay's house. We're going to do the podcast, have a great conversation, have a great time together, and hopefully help some people. Right?
Yeah.
And so I lay that out because let me be clear. There's nothing inherently wrong with having snacks and watching a movie.
Right.
Right? However, for me, it would be a 1 degree change toward the iceberg, not away from the iceberg. Because it would be a slippery slope to now I don't have to worry about working out. Now I don't have to worry about eating the right foods because I decided to go a different direction.
Right.
Because for me, it's a slippery slope.
Yeah.
I'm just putting that out there in full transparency. So now I am getting better. My discipline muscle is getting better. Where I go, we're going to gyms. We're doing our workouts. We're eating good foods.
Yes.
Right? We've had a couple busy nights in my house, and I could have chosen to eat crappy fast food. I chose not to.
Right. Yeah.
Was that choice hard? It could go either way. I don't really like fast food to begin with, but I do like the convenience of it.
Yeah.
Right? But I chose not to. And it's not to say that I went home and made some gourmet meal or anything like that. For sure not. I made a sandwich.
Right.
But I made a different decision.
Right. Yeah, I think that's a huge part of it is when you make those decisions and you make those choices to be like, is this what that guy does? Right? Like future self. If that's who I am, if that's who I'm going to be, well, I know what the choice is.
Yeah.
It's not for lack of knowledge that
No, it's lack of action.
it's lack of action. Exactly. I was going to say discipline, but action. Yeah. Like the right choice. You know what it is.
And look, you don't know the answer? This thing does. Google anything. The answer is there.
Yeah, we have so much information. We have so little action. I'm guilty of this, right? Like the
Oh, yeah.
one thing I have.
Yes, you are
gloried-
guilty of that.
I am very good.
I am also.
Yeah. The one thing I have for a plus is I go to the gym 5, 6 days a week, like 4 to 6 days a week. Some weeks it's 4, some weeks it's 6, but I'm pretty consistent on that, right?
Yeah.
So that's something I'm really good at. I struggle diet is when
The
it's
food you put
when the food I put in, right? Like, and I'm not scared to say the word diet because diet means whatever you eat, right? It's not doesn't mean
to you.
right. Well, to the word itself is what it means, right? So so that, but I don't think it's a dirty word. I think we just we get offended when we hear stuff like that. It's like, well, it's what you're eating.
But I think you have to be ready. So I'm just going to kind of tie back to what you were just saying here. Is you were talking about going to the gym 4 to 6 days a week. Like that's a consistent thing you do. I mean, ish 4 to 6.
Yeah.
But it's a consistent thing you do, and you're creating the person you want to become one day at a time.
Yeah.
Right? Did you drop 100 pounds the first time you went to the gym?
I did not.
No. Right? Did 100 grand show up in your bank account after the first deal you made?
It did.
Yeah.
No. No.
Good. I'm in the wrong line of business. The point I'm driving at here though is we have to start making those decisions now.
Yeah.
So if you're asking God for more money in your career, if you're asking God for more patience in your life, you have to take those daily 1 degree actions to move you in that direction that is going to open you up to the opportunity.
Yes.
Right? Because if the opportunity shows up in your life, which I don't think that very often the opportunity shows up in your life and you're not ready for it. No, sorry. Let me rephrase. I think a lot of times opportunity shows up in our life when we're not ready for it, but because we're not ready for it, we don't see it.
Well, and even there, let's go right back to that affirmations thing. Is what are you believing about yourself?
Yeah.
What are you thinking about yourself? If you're just thinking I suck, I can't do anything, well, the opportunity is staring you right in the face, and because you don't believe in that you can do it,
that you're worthy.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're gonna be like, wow, that's not for me. That's somebody else's opportunity.
And so
And you know what? You're right. It is.
because you're not ready for it. Yeah. Mentally. So here's my thing, and this is just me transparently, is I have an opportunity in front of me. I don't, but just hypothetically, I have an opportunity in front of me to make the money I want to make, to do the thing I want to do, whatever it is. But because I don't think it's for me, you're 100% right. I am not going to take that opportunity. Even if Jared sits down with me in a job interview and goes, here's the money you want and the vacation you want and the exact thing you want, I'm going to sabotage that interview so that Jared doesn't hire me, or I turn it down to keep the safe, quote unquote, spot I currently have.
Yeah.
Because it's for somebody else.
Yeah.
Right? And so I really, really think that if you're asking God for bigger things in your life, again, it doesn't matter what it is, could be, help me in my relationship with my wife, right? God is not just going to go, here you go, right?
Yeah.
So are you putting the right stuff in and day out?
Yeah. Well, I forget who says it, but whether you think you can or you can't, you're right.
100%.
Like it's so true because
100%.
that leads to opportunity. That leads to what you believe, right? That leads to your thoughts, right? I've had opportunities in my life where I thought, yeah, I could do this, right? No idea what I was getting into, and I jumped right in and went all in for it. And scariest thing, but I was right. I did it, but I don't know how. But
all of us with kids out there raise their hand.
Yeah.
I mean, like
exactly
how I have two kids. I wasn't ready.
Yeah.
I don't know if I still am.
Right.
And it's years later. Like it's one of those things. And sometimes I think to prove our mettle, more things in life should be a little bit like that.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, you want to manage a whole team of people at work, or oh, you want to have the best marriage ever. Like opportunities sometimes I think should be thrust upon us.
Yeah.
But that's not the way it works.
Well, like kids being young, I have an adult son, right? He graduated last year, and it's like, what does that look like? Was I ready for that? I don't know. But I had no choice.
We're figuring it out.
We're figuring it out.
Yeah.
You know what? He's done really well. So I think,
I think I think though that this idea of what we're driving at in this piece of the conversation is what you put into your brain matters.
Absolutely.
And so something I was actually thinking about on my drive to work this morning is, what have I been listening to?
Yeah.
Who have I been listening to? What have I been putting in my brain that's
Yeah.
helping? Is it helping or hindering those stories that I'm telling myself?
Right.
Right? That was a thought I had this morning, and I think that what we're reading, what we're listening to, who we're hanging out with, that matters.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. What we're doing matters. What we put in 100% matters, because if you're listening to something that just puts you down, like it's a matter of time before you're just like, yeah, you're right. If you're
Yeah.
listening to something that builds you up, yeah, you're right, right?
Yeah.
And just to think that just to be clear, it's not all about you. Like the world isn't all about you in that, but what you think does make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
It does absolutely matters.
And I think too, like, and this is gonna sound super hippy dippy, and y'all can make fun of me, but I think that energy is a real thing.
Yeah.
And so I believe that if you are having negative thoughts, people pick up on that. Strangers pick up on that. More so, people close to you in your life will really pick up on that.
Yeah.
And so one of the examples I've heard before is, if your wife asks you to do the dishes, and outwardly you go, yeah, sure, honey, no problem. But inwardly you're like, you mother trucker, I don't want to do the dishes. I've had a long day.
Right.
Like, your wife picks up on that energy.
Yeah.
Even though the words you said were happy and no problem.
Right. Yeah.
They pick up on the fact that you've got some negative energy going on there. And again, I know it sounds hippy dippy. You can make fun of me. I don't really care. But I believe that's true just on the experience of my own life.
Yeah.
Not just with my wife, but everybody else. And two, when you walk into the office, the admin's having a bad day. But they say, hey, good morning, how you doing? I'm doing great.
Yeah.
All that good stuff. You know.
You
You
yeah.
know. Like, you look at them and you're like, you're lying.
Yeah.
You're not having the best day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, people pick up on that.
Absolutely.
It's a really big thing.
Yeah.
And talk about this, because this is kind of where we were. What you put in your head matters.
Yes.
Right? The affirmations, positive affirmations matter. Speaking them out loud matters. Writing them down physically matters. And like I was saying, I was thinking this morning just about the music I was listening to was my example in my head of like, what am I listening to? What am I putting in my head?
Yeah.
Is it helping or hindering me? And then my brain starts trailing as you do when you're commuting. And I started thinking about this idea of like, who's in my life?
Right.
Who am I spending time with? Who am I spending time on? All of these things. Is it helping or hindering me? Because I had big goals.
Right.
Right? And then God and I started having a conversation about, I started praying about, am I doing the right things? Am I in the right spot? Am I with the right people? All these things.
Yeah.
But stopping that negative self-talk, I think is a great first step. And then also second, getting better at listening to your intuition, your gut, God, whatever you want to call it. I think it's God speaking to us, but getting better at that. And then number 3, what are you removing? Number 4, what are you taking action?
Are you taking action? I think that's the biggest thing, though, right? Like, it's sometimes we get stuck, and a lot of people get stuck with just trying to make the plan, trying to do, what is the right move? Should I do? What should I? And sometimes it's like take a step, make the choice,
Yep.
live with consequence.
Yeah.
That's it. Now, say that with a little bit of caution, right? Because there's some things where it's like, you know what, my gut says to tell my boss off, and so here we go, right?
So, disclaimer, we're not financial professionals, nor are we psychologists, psychiatrists, or anything of the kind. Take everything we say with a grain of salt, and don't necessarily take our advice.
Well,
I just wanted to make a disclaimer.
Yeah, we want to clarify that, like trusting your intuition is that you have to have some intelligence.
It's a learned skill,
right? Yeah, because
Yeah.
I have an intuition to tell my boss off because whatever, or this guy cut me off in traffic. I'm gonna go whatever, and
emotional decision making is not always the best.
right.
But sometimes God tells you go talk to that person.
Right.
Right? it's because he's setting up a door to go through for an
Yeah.
opportunity that you've been praying about in some area of your life, right?
Yeah.
And it might be as simple as a growth opportunity, like a personal growth opportunity.
Yeah.
Has nothing to do with any of your goals or anything like that. It's just here's an opportunity to grow and be kind to another person.
And that's sometimes the best thing that we could have is those opportunities to grow, not just to benefit. Sometimes our benefit is seeing somebody else benefit from our conversations, right? Like I had somebody come up to me. We went out for supper. This was probably like almost 10 years ago, right?
Okay.
And we had a conversation.
Yeah.
And I was in a low place at that, right?
Yeah.
And all he said was like, you got to start picking yourself up. You're worth more than what you're giving. You got to start actually,
It was just someone that came into your life at the right season.
yeah, right? Well, fast forward now,
Yeah.
we're at a place where me and him do an extreme amount of business together.
Yeah.
He was not even at, like, he is just going up as he goes. And in it, because of our relationship, I've been able to work and do things for him,
Yeah.
with him, right? And then he, in turn, like we work so good together, where there's such a trust. But like it all became because that one day we went out for lunch and he just like
But how many
picked
years?
himself up.
He told you to pick yourself up a decade ago, but how many years did it take before you actually did?
And yeah, it probably took me another 6 years after
Okay.
that to.
So now I'm going to ask you another question
Yeah.
because we're getting close to time here. But
Oh yeah.
and I'm only asking this because you've been open about it. How long did it take you to get to a weight that you weren't happy with?
Well, you know what? That's something I've always bounced back and forth with.
Okay.
But to the point where
It was a problem for you. How
you know
many
this
years?
this like it's always been a thing, right? And this last year though, this last like, and I say the end of 20, in probably November,
Okay.
maybe after my last birthday in October, maybe after that, I was just like, man, this is ridiculous,
Okay.
right? Something's got to change. This has to be a year of change, right? And so coming into 2024,
Yeah.
huge focus for me.
So
Yeah.
the reason I call out that and on the back of what you just said about how many extra years it took from hey, it's time to pick yourself up, you're worth more,
Yeah,
to where you actually are now.
yeah,
The reason I'm calling that out is because as we get to the end of the show today, I want people to realize that the decisions you make matter tomorrow. The decisions you make today matter tomorrow, and you didn't get to where you are like that. So you're not going to get to where you want to go overnight the same way with a snap of your fingers.
yeah,
It's going to take time. It's going to be a removal process of the bad habits and the bad things that you're doing in your life, you know. And I think too, for some of us, maybe we can talk about this for a minute, is I'm a good person. I don't have a drinking problem. I don't have a drug problem. I don't have an anger problem. I'm a good person. However, you spend X number of hours on your phone and X number of hours on Netflix, and you probably eat some of the foods you're not supposed to, even though you know better. And like you'll go on a diet on Monday, and
yeah,
all of these things that normal folks do on a regular basis, right? I think personally, and I'd love to get your opinion on this, it's fine bringing it up. It would almost be easier if you were a disaster to get cleaned up
they have no choice.
because you have that low spot.
Yeah,
I think too many people don't have a low spot, haven't had a low spot to come back from, to know what pain is like. And when I say pain, I'm not talking necessarily physical or whatever, but like I think that people that are living, and we talked about this several times, people that are living good enough,
yes,
not great, good enough. It's harder for them to go,
or not bad enough.
right. It's not easy for them just to go, oh, I'm not going to eat the chips today. I'm not going to eat the ice cream today.
Yeah,
Well, I'm going to go for an extra walk today. Or I'm going to hit the gym. I'm going to hire a trainer. Or I'm going to go for that promotion. It's good enough.
yeah,
Right? I make good enough money. I do good enough in my health. I I walk maybe once a week. All these things, and I'm just throwing out examples.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think the other side of it is the like, it's not for me. This is that's for other people.
Yep.
That's just I won't get there. But like I'm happy that they will.
But are you?
No, but like I don't want to put the work in, so I'm happy to stay where I am.
And I think if we're being honest,
Oof, that's a rough word.
honest, and I've been here, and some weeks I go up and down. I don't want to put the work in.
Yeah.
I want the success, and I don't want to put the work in.
Yeah.
If we're being honest, I think we've all been there, and some of us are still there. Where this year going into 2024, I'm really, really working hard on building those daily disciplines, those daily habits
Yeah.
of who the person that I want to be. What are they doing?
Yeah.
Right? How are they acting? How are they eating? How are they moving? All these things.
Yeah.
So, and we've kind of harped on that point a little bit, but as I roll into 2024, I'm really trying to build those daily disciplines so that at the end of 2024, I've made significant progress in each area.
Yeah.
Because I refuse, this is sort of one of my things, I'm going to be about it, right? We talked about this on one of our older episodes. I'm going to be about it, meaning when I leave 2024, it's not just going to be like, well, next year.
Yeah.
No. Like, the needle is moving in 2024, and that's non-negotiable.
Right.
It's just, I'm not going to go from 0 to 100 in 1 year.
Yeah.
Because I didn't go from 0 to where I am today in 1 year.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and yeah, I think that's very true. Is we can often get like, I'll give you a clear example of, okay, so my diet was doing a lot better, but then I started working too much, started getting too tired, and then that started falling off, right? So I went to the gym, but man, was I tired, right? And so, and then diet just starts going. It's the first to go, right? Like it's so because you
Lack
just
of
don't,
planning and then laziness.
laziness because it's just too tired because you're doing too much other stuff, right?
Yep.
And so now for the last 2 weeks, where I've started getting better energy,
Yeah.
it's like I've just been like, oh, I'll get there yet. I'll get there yet. And now this is kind of a aha moment for me as we're talking. Is like, okay, so why not now? Now you have the energy. Now you have the rest. Now you have this.
Yeah.
Now you have the time.
Does the Jeremy you want to be? Does he meal prep?
Well,
Does
that's
he
just,
make a plan?
that's exactly
Does he
what I
do-
was thinking
right?
as we were talking. Right? Is like, well, I keep thinking, oh, maybe next week. It's really been two, but next week I'll do it. Well, okay. Well, that was last week. So now it's like, now we're this week. So, well, you know what? Why not now?
Yeah.
Right? Like I could go tomorrow, get the groceries, do what I need, meal prep for the week. It's not hard, and then I'm set.
It's simple, but it's not easy.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And I think that there are so many things that are just simple actions.
Yeah.
But they're not easy to do
Not
because we've just gotten lazy or we've gotten accustomed to a certain way of life. And so I think let's wrap with this because we're about time.
We're about time.
Let's wrap with this. Spend some time this week after you listen to it, listen to this episode, write out who you want to become in every area of your life. Write it out. Full scab, notebook, whatever you got, write it out with a pen. Get her done. And then what are you removing? And then start taking actions.
Yeah.
Right? What's the 1 degree of change?
Who's the man you want to be?
Yeah. Who do you have to become? Because until you figure out first you got to figure out who you want to be. Once you figure out who you want to be, who is that man?
What are their habits?
Yep.
What is his habits? What is his thought process? How does he look at this? How does he look at that?
Yep.
How does he treat people?
Yep. Is he looking at too much porn and eating crappy food? Is he ignoring his wife? I'm guessing probably not because it's the man you want to become.
Yeah.
So that means that he's getting up earlier than you are now. He's probably getting a workout in at least twice a week. He's probably eating better foods. He's probably taking his wife out on a date, his kids out on a date, and doing good things.
Yeah.
Right? Treating people well. So that's what you should think about. Figure out who you want to be, journal it, remove some things, make some better decisions.
You got this.
We love you. We're rooting for you. We'll see you next time.